All right, we are live. Welcome back. I'm Gino from Everything NYJ, and this is Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. What's up, man? How are you doing tonight?
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. This is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk some Jets.
Good stuff, man. I know you've been like rocky back and forth the last 2 or 3 hours, so thank you for staying with us and appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. You
Where can
excited to see what's going on this season?
Oh, me too, man. Me too. Where can they find you, real quick?
Ooh, Jets Talk 24/7. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, comment a little bit on Twitter, but mostly YouTube. Uh, yeah, post games, that sort of stuff.
Good stuff, man. I love it. I love it. You can follow Everything NYJ on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So, everyone is starting to be getting to know my story, how I became a Jets fan in St. Louis. I just want to know how you became a Jets fan. I know you live in New Jersey, so that must be pretty easy for you.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I kind of didn't really have a choice. My dad, when we were younger, he was a Jet fan. So right around 94, 95, I'm 32 right now. So I was like 4 or 5 years old. He's like, we're going to a Jet game. I'm like, all right, cool. So green became my favorite color. And then, watching Wayne Corbett growing up and, all the guys, Curtis Martin, Lavernius Coles, Santana Moss, like literally all those dudes just gets me all sorts of hyped up. And, luckily in my short Jet fanhood, I was able to see like the most successful 15-year stretch of like Jets football that we've had. So hopefully a little bit more to come. But yeah, I wasn't really given a choice. I was going right into Jet fanhood, and now I just had a daughter back in June, and unfortunately,
Congratulations.
she's getting the same thing. Thank you.
So I'm guessing your whole family is Jets fans, or is there some like Bills or Giants fans in there?
So get this. So my mom, before she met my dad,
Yeah.
she'd consider herself more of like a Dallas fan, I guess.
Oh,
Little bit of a Giants fan, but she's definitely a Jet fan now.
oh, good.
But then my family, so I'm the only one still up in North Jersey right now. Everyone else moved to Florida. So
Mm.
like my dad being down in Florida now, Tom Brady goes to Tampa, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, we're an hour south of Tampa. Tampa Bay's not so bad. I'm like, you damn traitor. What the hell?
Thank
How
you.
can you even
Yeah.
say that? Now, me being a Jet fan, I will say I do like Brady a little bit more now that he's not in New England. It seems like he's got a little bit more
Yeah.
of a personality. So like I can like sort of rationalize it, but like screw that guy.
Amen to that. Because like it's so funny when some people don't even like him with the
Mhm.
Patriot fans, but then he wants to go to Tampa Bay. It's like, all right, I guess I'll like him now. It's always like that. It's always like that. I can't tell you how many people I know. My mother-in-law being one of them. She's like, oh, I hate Brady when he was the Patriots. Now she's like, you know what? He's not so bad anymore. And I'm like, oh, this woman. I
It's
love
like,
her,
oh,
but man.
he's just a bad person.
And it's funny because she's a bandwagon Chiefs
Mhm.
fan, so it's we give her crap for that too. But I will
Yeah,
admit, for her though, she's staying pretty clear. She's cutthroat on Mahomes, so I give her respect for that.
I like that. I like that. Mahomes is a fun guy to root for.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. Even if he doesn't have any weapons,
Mhm.
he still finds a way, which is really good. What you want to see from a future Hall of Famer that he will be. Um, so you have been everywhere. You've been to training camp, you've been to games, you've been to away games, you've been to tailgates, and not only everywhere on social media. What is your favorite memories at training camp, games, and away games?
Ooh, okay. So let's go. Hmm. So I'll say training camp. Best moment from training camp for me. I was young. The first time I went to a training camp
Hmm.
was back in 97, 98. It was right after we got like Keyshawn Johnson. Parcells was there.
Ooh.
And I got Keyshawn to actually sign a ball for me. I was like real little, and I was like, Keyshawn dives, like lands, like kind of. It was when like you used to be like pretty close to like the crowd. Like crowd was like it was at
Yeah.
Hofstra and like the I don't know if it was like ropes
Mm.
or whatever that you had to stand behind, but like Keyshawn catches the ball, like falls right in front of me. Keyshawn, will you sign my ball?
There
My
you
dad's like,
go.
you
I
can't
love it.
ask him to do that. And he's signing there like that. So I was like, it was cool. Like, training camp wise, that's probably my favorite memory.
I love that.
As far as away games go, I've only been to one away game. I got to go to a Jets Dolphins game, the Jets wound up, I'm pretty sure we wound up losing that game. It was a cool time. As far as like away games go, I would say my favorite was definitely that Jets Patriots playoff game. Didn't get to go to that one, but strong memory of that. As far as home games go, so we had season tickets probably from like 94 to like 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in that ballpark.
Right.
I was lucky enough to be at the Monday Night Miracle. I was lucky to be at a few different games, but the one that stands out the most to me, there was a game in 2002 or 2001. It was like right in that, I think it was the 2002 season, where the Jets needed the Patriots to kick a field goal in overtime to beat the Dolphins just to have a shot to get into the playoffs. And I think the Jets were playing a 4:00 game, or it might have even been a night game, but no one's paying attention to the game on the field. And everyone's listening to like Dolphins, Patriots. And then they go into overtime. And you're like, oh man, the Jets have a shot. Like the Patriots might pull it off. And then you wind up hearing the field goal and the whole crowd goes bananas, like literally the entire fan base. And we're up. I used to sit in section 327. So like nosebleed, second to last row, like almost back on the concrete. And when I tell you this stadium was like rocking and you could feel like the pressure of the top stands, I've never been in a stadium like that. Like that was incredible. And the Jets came out and just punched the Packers in the mouth. And then they went into friggin' the Colts game the following week and like shut them out. I want to say it was like 40-0 or 41-0. Like, that was probably my favorite game I've ever been to.
Oh man, I love that. Oh man, I'm so jealous. See, I'm going to my first Jets home game, and home opener next weekend. So I might see you there.
Love it, dude. You got to stop by. It sounds like we'll be in Lot L, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna be flying around. We'll be me and my co-host Liam. We're gonna be everywhere. Everyone keeps telling me if I had to go to a game, it's got to be the home opener or a Patriots game. Is that true? Is that true?
It's definitely true. Like, there's a lot of energy for the Patriot games. For me, I like the first game because there's still a lot of hope. And then after that, because I mean, look, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to like say, hey, the Jets are going to be pretty bad this season. We're going to lose more games than we win. And like, at least the first game of the season, I have enough like green tinted glasses that I could like have hope for the season. If you wind up waiting till like, oh, I'll go to the October, the November, the December game, you're like, oh man, like the Jets have 2 wins and like, what am I paying to see this game? Home opener is the way to go.
Oh man, I love hearing that. It's just getting me jacked up even more. Shout out to DKBX Jax. I was just on his podcast last week. He does great content. Follow him. Thank you for commenting, my man. So Mr. Ryan, I just want to know how'd you want to like be podcasting? Like what in media? I mean, you're one of the biggest guys in Jets community. What made you want to do it? What made you want to have your first start with that?
So I went to school. I went to Binghamton in New York. It's a state school.
Oh, cool.
For film. And I was like, beautiful. All right, this is fun. I enjoy it. I went into Binghamton as a chemistry major, and then I was like, oh man, I can't handle this. I need to like find something easier. So film is what I kind of went into because I always enjoyed it. So I've been working at a golf course the last few years, and I've been doing a little bit of filming on the side. So I've been, filming weddings and, little bits and pieces for B-roll for the resort and stuff. And I get laid off in the winter. So this is probably 2017 going into 2018. And it was the first year I was getting the layoff, and I was like, all right, perfect. I'll spend some time. I'll do a little bit of editing. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and it's going to be totally non-Jets related at all. Not even sports related or not football related. I was going to do a YouTube channel. I'm a big skier and snowboarder. So my thought process
hence this, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Dude, my thought process was like, I'm going to interview people on chairlifts across the country, and I'm going to get free lift tickets. I'm going to get marketing promos for like all these different resorts. I'm like, who cares? I don't need to make any money. I just want to go riding. So then I was like, oh man, I don't know how I sound on like camera. Like I've been on camera, but I don't know. I've never talked. I've only like edited music videos and things like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Which actually, oddly enough, I do have a music video that I released when I was in high school that has like 500,000
Really?
views. Yeah.
Ooh, look at
I jacked
you.
up like the name of the band at the time because I downloaded it from Kazaa, not the best,
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
But anyway, yeah,
Cool.
that was a lot of fun. So then I was like, all right, what can I talk confidently about, that could at least give me an idea of how I sound on, on tape. So I was like, well, I like the Jets, I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable. Like, screw it. I'll
Right.
start talking about that. And like, I went through a whole year of like, I talked a lot, and then I got a different job within the resort that kind of required a little bit more time. So I didn't have as much time to devote towards the video making. And I almost gave it up about a year in. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just see if I can like put stuff out a little more consistently. And then it just sort of stuck. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to do Jets content, which is cool. Cause like, I love it. I'm sitting there in my free time. I'm on forums. I'm on Facebook groups. I'm on like, literally like, I'll talk football all day. Becca's like, I'm going to kill you. That's my wife. She's like, I'm going to kill you if you keep talking football. Like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Right, so now I get my energy out on the internet with a bunch of other Jet fans.
And I mean, that's what you gotta do. I mean, I can't even tell you how many I'm involved with. So it's like I could talk Jets like all the time. Been a fan since I was 9 years old. I said I was like an in the closet Jets fan because I'm from St. Louis. So it was always like Rams and everything else. So
yeah, it's tough, right? Because like, how old are you about?
I'm 30. So I just turned 30.
So you grew up right in the greatest show on turf. So like that was the team. And like, I mean, I loved Kurt Warner growing up. Marshall Faulk, incredible. Like that was a great team to grow up watching.
I met them all too, as well.
That is
because
so
my
cool.
my dad was a video guy, so he knew everyone, and I got to meet them all, and it was honestly a starstruck moment because actually when I first knew my dad made it, we were in the parking lot at like at some like Walmart or something, and he goes, "Hey, that's laryngitis." And I'm like, I'm like, "Here, let's go say hi." I'm like, "What do you mean go say hi? What are you doing?"
I can't do that.
No, I can't do that. Just like you said, but I can. So he goes over and he was like, "Oh, hey John, how you doing? Good to see you. Is this your kids?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're like that now. All right. This is cool. This is cool.
This is awesome."
Yeah, like I mean, shit. I wish I could do it with the Jets because I was a flag guy for the Rams too, like on the field when they score a touchdown or go through the tunnel. So it was really fun.
So I was almost a flag guy when I was in college for the Jets. I know a guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know a guy that could have gotten me in. I was still my senior year of Binghamton. They're like, "Hey, like, is your address like not like where my hometown was?" I was like, "No, not right now." They're like, dude, you got to drive like 3 hours to like be a flag guy. I was like, I could be a flag guy, like drive 3 hours. Like, what are you talking about? I wound up not doing it, but I was like, oh, come on.
Man, dude, I cannot tell you how much it's a rush. It's stressful, a rush, but really damn cool. But you can't, awesome. but you can't mess up.
You gotta run now. Like if you're not paying attention and like 3 of the 4 flag guys run, yeah, you look like an idiot.
Dude, I almost hit Steven Jackson in the face one time. I could say that now. But
dude, he was awesome too.
I mean, he was the offense of the Rams back in the day. He was the offense. And not only that, it was really funny because when the Jets were in town, Mark Sanchez days, they would I would be rooting for the Jets like I didn't hold it in.
Just like hiding the jersey.
Yeah, I didn't hold it in. And they were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, crap. I can't do that." I couldn't do that. I'm like, "Oh, man. Oh, dude, my bad."
Dude, it's got to be tough being in a way. Like living as a Jet fan elsewhere, living as any fan in a different stadium. I mean, at least that's not like a horrible area. Like if you're in Boston or Miami, like
that's
a little tougher.
Yeah, but as DKB said, you got to get into the one Jets drive concept for the culture. And you know what? Have you ever got asked to do anything like that, or on the record, or can you not say that, or what?
No. So they've never approached me. I have applied a bunch of times to New York Jets, and like especially since I started doing content, I was like, oh, like maybe they like watch my stuff, and I'm like, crap. Like I'm like way too critical of Jet stuff. Like I'm not all rainbows and butterflies, like, maybe some other guys might be. And like, they'll never let me, they'll never do that for me. So I'm definitely I'm comfortable not being in that sphere. But what's cool is actually episode 4 of One Jets Drive, actually the flight 2022. I was
Okay.
actually in the hospital watching it with my daughter, like in my arms, and I was like,
man.
"Oh, I was like, this is great." And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, and episode 4 comes by, and Rich Eisen comes on. And they're like, "You should go out and you should draft Sauce Gardner." And then, like, the next person that talks is someone talking about Kyle Hamilton and how the Jets are interested. And I was like, "Man, that sounded a lot like me." So I reverse it. It's like, "Oh, that sounds like me." Reverse it, reverse it, reverse. I must have listened to it like 10 times. My wife is like, "What the hell are you doing over there?" And I was like, I sent it to my brother and I was like, "Yo, does this sound like me?" I was like, "I think it sounds like me." He's like, "Dude, that's you." I was like,
Right.
"Holy hell. Someone at One Jets Drive ripped my audio from one of my videos talking about Rich Samini and how the Jets, are reportedly rumored to be interested in Kyle Hamilton. And they used it on Flight 2022. I was like, I'm not going to get any credit for it, but like, whatever, like still cool. Yeah. And then actually the guy that was in last week's episode, tomorrow, I think, is episode 3 of One Jets Drive for this year. The second episode, one of the guys was wearing one of my wide receiver 1 covered in Sauce shirts. Like on the video, they're like, "Oh, we've got the Sauce." And I was like, "Ah, it's my shirt." Like, that's the coolest thing. So like, I've never been involved in anything with it, but it's pretty cool to at least get the little nod of like, "Oh, that's my stuff."
Oh man, that's got to be such a good feeling for you, especially when you just had your daughter too. Like when you're just watching all that, it's just got to be a surreal feeling for you.
I was over the moon because I wound up missing like I think it launched. I don't know. It launched a few days earlier, and I didn't have time to watch it because of my work schedule and because we were having the baby so soon. So like the first downtime I had was like while Becca was sleeping. And like, I'm holding Shay and I'm like, all right, let's start going through it. And I'm like, oh man, this is the coolest thing. I said to my dad, I sent it to like all my friends. I was like, oh man, that's me. And I showed him like the clip of like the Kyle Hamilton video that I put out. Cause I was like, I got to figure out what video this is actually from.
Right.
But it was cool.
Did you end up figuring that out or no?
Oh yeah. No, if you go back to my video history, there's a video of like the Jets are rumored to be, it was like right around the combine, I think. Or maybe the Senior Bowl, where it was like the Jets are interested in Kyle Hamilton. So I was like, all right, let me talk about this rumor. Like, I don't think the Jets are taking him. It doesn't seem like anything. But my cadence in it was like, the New York Jets are reportedly, or like rumored to be interested in Kyle Hamilton. And they pulled that audio over highlights of Kyle Hamilton and slapped that on there. And I was like, oh, sweet. Really cool.
Oh man, I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna go back and watch that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, it's been a crazy day, right? Cuts, surprise cuts, or signings and trades, just everywhere happening today. And it's only just getting started. We still got tomorrow to deal with. Shit, we even still have the next few hours to deal with. Mm-hmm. Talking about the Jets, I mean, we got a few surprise cuts and stuff. Especially with Strebler.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised with that, but at the same time, I wasn't. I'm 50-50 on it because I knew how much they love Mike White, right? And Strebler, he's had the best preseason out of any quarterback, I feel like, the last 3 games. And then Piron gets cut. We waiver Calvin Jackson, Phillips, Goodry, and Ane. Sorry if I, don't get those names right. But what is the surprise cut for you today?
So Strebler, I would have liked to have seen him make the roster. I think if Zach Wilson's healthy, you probably see him make the final 53. But I think because Flacco is the starter, they're obviously not going to cut Zach Wilson. They need a guy as the backup that has played real games, has gotten meaningful reps in camp, and that guy is Mike White. So I'm a little, I don't want to say irritated, but I'm a little bummed because I think Mike White could have made it to the practice squad, where I don't think Strebler. They might try to practice squad him, but I think someone might try to snipe him off our squad. P. Ryan, I expected. Ane, I don't want to say I expected, but like I know they like Martin and a lot of other guys, so that doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Idri to me was an interesting one.
Me too.
Like when I go back and I look at the corners, and I'm like, okay, you got Sauce, you got Reed, you got Hall, you got Eccles, you got Hardy, and you got Carter.
Exactly.
That's 6 guys.
Right.
Like, you'd have to carry 7. Like, you're not getting rid of one of those guys to keep Guidry. Like, I think Guidry, they're going to try and get him on the practice squad and then you just kind of retain him because we don't really have a nickel corner outside of Carter unless you want to try and move, maybe LaMarcus Joyner there at some point if like you have a different option at safety. I know they like Pinnock
Right.
at safety. I don't
Right.
think we're done as far as transactions go. Like I think we're going to be, since we're
Agreed.
number 4 on the waiver wire, I think we're definitely going to be looking at some of those guys that might get cut. Someone like an Alex Leatherwood from Oakland, I think, is someone to keep an eye on.
Exactly. And not only that, Mr. Lamb from the Detroit, I would keep an eye on Jefferson with the Ravens.
Yes.
Is there any surprise signings that you want, or do you think the Jets would do? Any signings?
Surprise signing. It would have to be a position that we already have a strength at. Like for me, it might be like cutting Jeff Smith and signing someone like that. Like I don't think Smith's spot is necessarily locked in. I do hope that Mims makes the roster. I thought he was going to
Okay.
get cut, and then when he demanded a trade and then went off,
Right.
it's like, all right, well, let's hold on to him a little bit. Let's see if we can get a team to like pony up a 3rd or a 4th round pick for him. Maybe Green Bay says like, hey, we need some receiver help. We got to win a Super Bowl with Rodgers now. Like we'll
Right.
pony up the 3rd or the 4th. Now I think we probably get like a 5th round pick for him. As far as signings go, I like the Jefferson thought from Baltimore. I do think safety is an important position for us. I think we got our backup center in Herbig from the Eagles, so I think that's kind of covered. Linebacker is another area I could see. I would say linebacker, safety. Those are probably the 2. Maybe tackle if we wind up trading Edoga. I think there's going to have to be another offensive lineman move if you wind up making that trade.
So, and saying what you're saying, Ragadis, with the trades, do you think the Jets will follow through with the Mims trade or Adoga? Do you think that they'll follow through with another trade, or do you think Jody's cooking up something?
I think Trader Joe Douglas is he's working something up for sure. And I would have said Mims is going to Carolina, but now that Carolina traded for Laviska Shenault, I think that probably pulls that off the table. Unless he's cut, then I think they probably try to sign him because on waivers they're sitting at 6. I think. I think the Giants were at 5. Carolina was at 6, so they have an opportunity to snatch him up. I think the Jets hold on to Mims. I don't think that winds up happening until a little bit later in the season, like right around the trade deadline. I do think they could wind up moving him. It depends how much faith they have in our receiving core if someone goes down. Like if Corey Davis goes down, do you trust Garrett Wilson to be the guy with Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios? If the answer is like, I'm not sure, or maybe he fits a different role, for me, Mims feels like the odd man out. The whole last year and a half has just felt like, they drafted Elijah Moore, they bring in Keelan Cole, Corey Davis, they draft Garrett Wilson. So they re-sign Braxton Berrios. Like to me, it doesn't feel like Mims fits, which really sucks because I was super excited when we wound up drafting him. But I don't get the feeling that we're going to just let him go for nothing. Now maybe Carolina said something along the lines of like, hey, we want to get Mims for X draft pick. And Joe was like, hey, no, I want more than that. And then they might've said, hey, we're getting Laviska Shenault. We'll wait till he clears waivers. You don't have anyone else to trade with. That may happen. I don't think we see a Mims trade I don't know. That's a tough one. I hope we hold on to him. Because Corey Davis isn't a lock to be here next year. So I would like to hold on to him if possible.
And not only that, because, Corey, like you said, Corey Davis says, this is probably going to be his last year. And the fact that, Mims has actually done pretty good, even though he does demand a lot. Like he's been stirring up some stuff. But the thing is, I think for him, it would have been a good situation if he went to Carolina with his old coach. But at the same time, I'm with you when it comes to this season. I think he's going to be traded at the trading deadline this season, and I think they'll keep him. But the guys that I want to see at wide receiver, I really want a Calvin Jackson back. Jeff Smith's kind of a take it or leave it for me, but I think Cager's an interesting guy to look at because, I know they want that 4th tight end, but you can also use him for wide receiver. But the thing is about Cager, he was just showing flashes where Jackson was very consistent. But for me, also with the old line, I love what you said about Herbig because I love Herbig. But if we
Mhm.
get trade Adoga, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Lamb or what you said
Mhm.
Leatherwood. But I think as more times go on with cuts and trades, when we got Moses last year, that was huge. We got him like a few days before the first game, and that saved our asses last year. So and then what you said about the linebacker position, I want to use another linebacker and I want a safety because I don't think Joyner is going to be that guy. I think he's because of
Mhm.
the injuries with him. They have so much faith in Pinnock. They want him to be that guy. I don't think he's going to
Mhm.
be that guy per se, but if he ends up getting there, that would be great. But overall, kind of want to see those four change. What do you think overall?
Yeah, I like Lamarcus Joyner. The last time he played
Okay,
safety, obviously he had the Achilles injury last year, but I think
right,
and then the 2 years prior, he was playing nickel. So, like, there's some
right,
positional flexibility. He was really good at safety. It's got to be 4 years ago now, but you don't know what he is, right? Like, so I think
right,
he is the guy that you'd probably move on from if you have Pinnock as like the, 1B or, whatever you want to have him at. Um, from a wide receiver standpoint, Cager to me, I would like him to be the fourth tight end. Like if I
yeah,
could have Uzoma, Conklin, Ruckert, and Cager,
right,
that's the four I want there.
mm,
So for like wide receiver wise, obviously Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios are your top four. And then you have um, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, Braxton Berrios. Yes, math is right. Four. And then
You're
you
right.
have two
Hey,
more, right?
hey, there's too
So,
many. There's too many depth,
oh,
which is a first for us, right?
it's a nice problem to have.
Yeah,
So I'm
exactly.
looking at, Denzel Mims. I think he's valuable enough if Corey Davis goes down or
Mm,
potentially in a trade to warrant a roster spot. To
right,
me, Jeff Smith is kind of that lukewarm, I don't know if we go that route, is he the special teams guy? Do we hold on to Bam Knight? Because if we hold on to
right,
Bam Knight, now you don't really need Jeff Smith. Do you hold on to Coleman instead of Knight? I don't know. It's since they changed the rules of the practice squad, now anyone can go on it. I'd almost err on the
right,
side of like the vet, like a Coleman or like a Mike White that could like probably not get picked off the practice squad. And then you hold on to a guy with higher upside. But,
right.
I just don't know how they wind up doing it. Um, I don't know. Did
It,
that answer the question? Kind of
oh
like
no,
word
that
vomited a little bit.
not only did that answer the question, now I want to pick your brain about Rucker. Do you think they're going to move Rucker or Cater to maybe have some type of fullback, or do you think that they'll have Coleman or maybe
Mm,
Knight do that? Because I mean, I've been hearing rumors about Rucker or Cater going to fullback, even with
mhm.
Barden. Barden I think is safe. I think we can agree with that. But
Mhm.
but what do you think? I mean, Ruckert's blocking is improving a little bit.
I would say they'd like the positional flexibility. So if one of the tight ends can pull up being, yo, what up, Buffalo Jet fan? Buffalo's going to be at the week 1 game.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
I'm
Going to
I'm
be
I'm
very
excited.
excited.
I'm excited to meet everyone. Shout out Buffalo. But yeah, it's gonna be great. I've been clapping like crazy with everyone, and I love meeting Jets content creators and fans as well. So it's great.
It's been a good time. I'm hoping that what were we talking about? Or no, we're talking about Ruckert
Oh,
and the fullbacks.
right,
So
right,
so for me, I think the positional flexibility is important. So if they think Ruckert is a good enough blocker and he's seeing
right,
live game reps, maybe
right,
you slot him in at fullback and you have your other two tight ends in Uzoma and Conklin, in those heavy sets.
right.
So I don't know if it's necessarily a lock that happens, but I do hope that Ruckert sees enough playing time throughout this year,
Mm,
that you can kind of get a feel for him and be like, okay, he's going to be a future tight end 1 for us. I think he's got all the talent in the world. Cager is the interesting one for me because he's so like, I don't want to call him lean, but so athletic and so um he's talented. And to have him at the tight end position provides something that Conklin and Uzoma are kind of the well-rounded guys. Ruckert maybe a little bit more favorable in the blocking scheme. Cager is like a matchup nightmare. So I'd love to find a way to hold on to him, because for me, Wesco, to use him as a blocker, if I could use Rucker
Yeah,
as a blocker, that's like 75% of what Wesco is. I'd rather
right,
that and hold on to the upside that is Cager.
right. I mean, not only that, I could see Wesco being cut, or maybe the practice squad anyway. But if Rucker can
Mhm.
fill in that role, that would be great. And even the running backs, as we talk about the running backs, you still got, I know P. Ryan just got cut, but you still got Ty, you still got Knight and Coleman. Who would you keep out of those three?
Of the three, so we had this discussion the other day, and I feel like Coleman is the most likely to not get sniped off the practice squad that I would love to hold on to. Like for me, Coleman is the perfect third running back on our team, but Bam
Mm,
Knight is so exciting that I'd rather hold on
right,
to him. Like if you can get a different receiver, maybe, so that way Jeff Smith isn't like the special teams guy and Bam Knight can be that, then maybe you sort
right,
of shift things around similar to how you did with Cager.
right.
Um, I don't know. I get the feeling they'll probably hold on to Coleman because he's a veteran, because he's the guy that knows the offense. And I think they hope that Knight makes the practice squad, but I don't know. I'm super leery of him being able to make it.
And not only that, they love Coleman and what he brings with the veteran presence, and that's what kind of scares me a little bit with Knight. Um, so we have a packed, front four. I mean, Clemens has just been unbelievable. And that's just going to be one of the toughest cuts, right? Do you think, and I'm speaking way over here, but Jacob Martin, I mean, we haven't really seen him much, right? Do you think we could trade him for something for like a big time safety or alignment? I'm just spitballing here. What do you think?
I wouldn't like to see that, just because I think we're going to use such a healthy rotation. Like you're looking
Right.
at probably, oh God, how many are they going to keep? You got, just from an
Because
edge rusher
You got
perspective.
Huff
Yeah.
too,
Yeah. You
So
got Huff, you got Lawson, you got Johnson, you got Clemens. Those are the four guys that are a lock. Then I think you're
right.
talking Martin, Curry. Curry, I feel like could be the odd man out.
Oh yeah, I
Because I
agree.
don't think his veteran presence is necessarily needed like it is in other positions. Like I think Lawson can fill that role. And then it depends how you classify JFM. Like, is JFM considered an outside guy or is he an inside guy? Because now when you're talking inside, you're talking Quinnen Williams, JFM. Do you hold on to Rankins? Do you try to get Jonathan Marshall onto the practice squad? I don't know. Cutting a nay. It's going to be interesting. I'm fascinated to see how they work it all out, because there's going to be a heavy rotation of fresh legs all the time. So if there is any truth to like every guy's playing 40% of the snaps and we're going to keep guys fresh the entire time, which I hope is not the case, because I want Quinnen Williams on the field as much as possible. I want Lawson
Amen.
on the field as much as possible. JFM, like all these guys. But if you're going to rotate a lot, it doesn't make sense to necessarily hold on to certain guys. And it may not even make sense to pay Quinnen Williams a ton of money if you're going to rotate him a bunch, which, is another discussion we can have as well.
And not only that, it's like, what are they going to do with Harris, the linebacker we got from the 49ers? It's like he's been injured, but not only him. I kind of want to keep him on the practice squad, but Quinnen Williams, though, I mean, I would love to see him step up and get his money. Bringing in Quincy Williams, his brother, was the best thing for him to make him comfortable. He even said in the press conference, he's not worried about the contract. He's worried about trying to represent the organization well and being the best player that he can be. But like I said, the Jets were smart, and his brother is no joke either.
Yeah, Quincy's an interesting one because he is just so talented from like I'm going to knock the living piss out of you perspective.
Right,
Like I'm hoping this guy winds up figuring out the whole penalty thing, because as soon as he
right.
made the hit out of bounds last week, I was like, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Whatever it was. I think it was the Eagles game. I was like, son of a batch. This guy's
Right,
doing
right,
it again. Like he's
right.
a heat-seeking missile, but like he's doing stupid shit. Like it was a bad hit
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
bounds. So for me, I do think the comfort level is there. That's nice. I do think there's probably something to the like, hey, if you don't re-sign Quinnen, maybe Quincy walks, or maybe like, I'd love Quincy to develop into one of our 2 or 3 linebackers that we wind up having, because I don't think Mosley is going to be here beyond this year. I think he's probably done.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Quinnen, I like Quinnen. Quinnen's the first player that we've drafted. Sam Darnold traded. Jamal Adams traded. Before, who the hell was before Jamal? Was it?
What, you mean the year before or that year?
No, who was the year before? I'm trying to think of like first round picks that we've been like that we should retain.
So May was the same year as
that
Adams.
Was 2017 with Adams. Who the hell was 2016?
Dude, I forgot it was a first round pick for it.
Calvin Pryor was back in like 2013.
Right. Wait, Wilkerson?
No, Wilkerson was earlier than that.
Richardson. Was Sheldon Richardson?
No, Richardson was earlier than that. Okay, now I got to pull this up. Let's do this. I'm going to do this live.
Yeah, let's pull this up. Look at this.
I can't even think about who it would be.
He's taking flight. You could tell him.
Yeah, dude, I'm all over the place.
Stumped.
Okay.
I'm stumped.
So 2006. Oh, Darren Lee. That's the one I'm missing.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Darren Lee. That's why. Okay. So Darren Lee. Yeah. Then you got Leonard Williams. We traded Leonard Williams away, which was a great move. Darren Lee, we wound up cutting. Calvin Pryor. I think we traded him for Demario Davis. Is that right?
So, no, I think we signed Demario Davis some free agent. I'm pretty sure we did that. I remember.
No, I think we traded Calvin Pryor to get Demario Davis from Cleveland. I'm like 65% sure that's what happened. Because that was probably.
I remember but didn't we pick him up? We picked him up again, though, right?
Well, we had Demario Davis originally, and then we let him go, and then I think we traded him. I'm almost positive. And then before that was the Sheldon Richardson, D. Milner year. Quentin Couples, Muhammad Wilkerson. Muhammad Wilkerson in 2011 was the last player we signed to an extension as a first-round pick.
Yeah, right. That was amazing.
So Quinnen Williams,
he was
like you look at Becton. Becton's not going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be Quinnen or Zach or Vera Tucker are going to be the next guys to get a contract. It's got to be. I'm hoping it's Quinnen. We got to retain some of our first-round talent.
And not only that, it's like Vera Tucker. He's been very good throughout camp, and you can tell he's just been clutching. And he got burned last year too. Like you could tell, like people were just dogging him like crazy last year. But this year, it's not the same. It's not the same story. He's been producing. He's been doing well, and now we just need to get Zach back healthy and doing it well. So the drafts, free agents, and signings. This has probably been the biggest year, I think, in Jets history when it comes to the draft. Best draft. We signed some really good free agents. Who do you think is going to make the most impact with the draft and the free agents that we signed earlier this year?
Ooh, okay. So I'll do free agency first. I'm going to break it into 2 separate ones. I think Tomlinson's going to have the most effectiveness right off the bat, but I do think Conklin and Uzoma are going to provide the biggest wow factor of like, hey, these guys are like the dude at tight end, like, because we didn't have tight ends last year. So I do think those are the 2 guys from free agency that are going to make the most impact. From a draft perspective, man, this was a phenomenal draft. I mean, I don't know if I've had another draft that I feel as good about. Like last year's draft, exciting, pleasantly surprised with everything that wound up happening. This year's draft, based on the value we got, the 3 first-round picks, the fact that we almost traded back in for Breece Hall, and then being able to get the fan favorite in Ruckert, the Douglas guy and Mitchell, the Salah guy and Clemens, I think was fascinating for me. I think from the draft, Breece Hall is probably going to be the fastest impact player just because of the position he plays. But I think you may not see it until about halfway through the season once the offensive line starts to gel after games 4 or 5, something along those lines. Probably around the Miami or the New England game is when you'll see that start clicking. I mean, I'm just really excited across the whole board. Like, I think Sauce Gardner, I think he's legit. Like, I was pounding the table for Sauce for like
me too.
Oh, dude, forever. Like
Me too.
as soon as I saw the combine and I'm like sitting there and I'm watching, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at Thibodeau, I'm looking at Sauce, and I'm looking at all the other players. That's when I fell in love with Jermaine Johnson too. Like those two guys, I was like, wow, like this guy's tape is so good. And Sauce, this dude looks like an alien. Like no joke, his arms have got to be, I think they're like 80-inch long wingspan. Like these 6'3"
Just keep
dudes like
going.
shouldn't have a wingspan that big. He's gonna be the Antonio Cromartie
Yeah.
robber interception guy. He hasn't had a target this entire preseason. So I'm curious to see
Right.
how it winds up going. Like, how long does this last? When do they start trying to test him? Because I think other teams realize like this kid's good.
Yeah. So Sauce has been my guy throughout college. I've been following him, and I pounded for Sauce. I never wanted Thibodeau. I never wanted Walker. I didn't. Hutch. I wanted Sauce take. I could see us taking Hutch, but Sauce was my guy the whole time. And I wanted Williams from Alabama because he was a St. Louis guy. But I'm happy that we got Garrett though. So I love the moves that we made and stuff. But overall, Sauce is the guy. Sauce is the guy. But DKB had a question. How are we feeling about the lack of consistency in the run game so far? So what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, the run game is interesting, and I think it's more a symptom of the lack of experience on the offensive line than it is a knock on the running backs. Like I think the running backs have the talent to do it, and it's just a matter of getting the offensive line gelling together. Because remember, this past game against the Giants is the first time the first team offensive line was together on the field at the same time. You had Dwayne Brown at left tackle, you had Fant at right tackle, you had obviously McGovern, AVT, and Tomlinson. I
Right.
think having that consistency probably around week 3, 4, 5, that's when you'll start seeing a gel. The same way we saw Moses and Fant start to gel with AVT last year. And I
Right.
do think there's going to be a little bit of a leg up. Like you might not see it last or you may not see it take as long because AVT, Fant, they played together on the left-hand side last year. They're
Right.
both moving over to the right-hand side. So at least they know each other's tendencies. When you have Tomlinson and Brown, 2 Pro Bowlers from last year, they're both plugging in to their natural positions. They should be able to click a little bit faster than maybe a rookie or something along those lines. So I don't think the running game is too big of an issue yet. If we're like 6, 7 games in and we're seeing more issues with the running game, then I'll be a little bit more concerned.
I agree with you 100%. He's got pop out. He said, "Let's go Jets." I love that. I want to talk about Fant because Fant, he's expected a new contract. He only went from the left to the right to the left, and now he's back at the right. Do you think that we retain him, or do you think he wants to go somewhere else and play his natural left tackle position?
I hope he wants to stay here. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a point where he looks at the Jets and he says, "Hey, these guys gave me the opportunity. They overpaid to get me here initially."
Right.
And I hope the Jets do right by him because, like, hey, dude, you played phenomenally well last year. We want to work out a contract, a 3-year deal to keep you here. I think at the worst case scenario, you're probably talking about franchise tagging him because there's not really any player on this team right now that you would franchise tag. And a franchise tag is like way more money than I want to pay him. But
Right.
because not Sheldon Richardson, because of the Mekhi Becton situation, I think it opens the door for that option.
Right.
Now, I don't want to pay him that kind of money. I'd rather, hey, let's
Me
sign you
neither.
to a 3-year deal. Worst case scenario, we never see the transition tag used, but maybe that's a situation where you're like, hey, if we lose him, it's really going to suck, but at least we don't pay him quite as much. But I think you have to do right locker room wise by signing this dude to a contract because then it sends a signal to the other players like, hey, you're versatile, you're a team player, you get re-signed.
And not only that, they brought in Dwayne Brown, who they're very close already. You brought in a guy that you played with Seattle. They already have a tight relationship. That helps the situation a lot more. Plus, you can see where this line has come from. I mean, I know Becton was injured, but when you look at what we have now with Tomlinson, and then you have Brown, then you have McGovern in the middle, AVT, and then you have Fant. I haven't seen a line like this in years. So, especially with the depth, it's got to be exciting that he wants to be here for that. But I understand, though, you want to go back to your natural position. I totally get it. I hope we franchise tag him and just see what happens. But I agree with you with the money part. So going into after that, the Jets expectation this year with the record and the development, where do you see them from now until the end of the season?
So for me, I feel like looking at the schedule, it is daunting. The beginning part of the schedule, if you can, get to the bye week with 4 wins, I think you're ahead of the game. I
Right,
think we have a week 9 bye, so it's what does it be 4-5 or 4-4
right,
or whatever it works out to be.
right.
Um, and then the back half of the schedule looks pretty favorable. If you can stay around
Right.
500 before the bye, then I think you have a shot to start talking, maybe a wild card berth or something along those lines. For me, a successful
Right.
season is seeing that little emoji of the Jets logo in the bottom corner of the screen that says "in the hunt" in December, because that means Zach has played well enough to that point where we are competitive. I
Mhm.
do think there is a realistic shot we sweep the Patriots. I think there is a potentially realistic shot that we could sweep Miami. I
Mhm.
don't think we wind up splitting with Buffalo. I think Buffalo is the cream of the crop. They should win a
Really?
Super
Okay.
Bowl. I thought they were going to win it last year. They wound up, falling a little
Same.
short. For me, I think the floor is like 7-9, and I'm like, okay, Zach's the guy. 8
Yeah.
wins, an 8-9 season. That's where I'm hoping to be, and then anything over that is house money. It's basically how I felt in 2009 when we backed our way into the playoffs. I was like, dude, we were out of it anyway. Oh, we
Mm.
got in, cool. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Anything can happen at this point, and that's we saw 2009, 2010. Like those were our 2 most successful seasons from like playoffs on. Uh, you know, anything could happen at that point. I think a successful season for this Jets team is Zach is the guy. Let's keep building around him. Like I don't want to have this offseason come around. Like if the injury happened to Zach and it was the year ender that we all thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
that would have been the worst case scenario. If he winds up playing well, absolutely great build around him. If he has a shaky season, then I think you go out and you say, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know if he's signed through next year. I know he just reworked his contract for this season.
Right.
He's the guy I'd probably look at as like, hey, let's bring him in, have him compete against Zach. Zach should be able to beat him if he's going to be our franchise guy. If he can't, then you got Jimmy G, who's going to be 31, for at least a little bit of time. I don't know. A successful season for me is 8 wins and knowing Zach is the guy moving forward.
Agree with you 100%. I'm looking at 8-9 or 7-10
Mm-hmm.
because I just want to see growth this year. If we make it to a wild card, that's great. That's phenomenal. But as long as everybody continues to get better with no injuries and maybe clinching a wild card, that's phenomenal. But
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see people get better. And then next year is like the year. I don't want to see anyone on the hot seat because I know
Mm-hmm.
probably a few of them are thinking that they're in the hot seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. 8, 7, 10, 8, 9, and just continue to get better. Now I got some fun questions for you. I think you'll enjoy this. So if you had to watch a game with a Jets player to pick their brain
Mm-hmm.
like through like at a game or at training camp, who would it be?
For me, I think it's Michael Carter, and I think it's the personality. Like we're talking specifically current Jets players, right? Like not like
It
historic or
could
anything.
it's both.
Oh,
So
both.
you could
Okay.
do you can do one now and
Yeah.
you could do the one from the past. I'll
Okay.
give you
One
that
from the
one.
past, it's got to be Winkerbet. Favorite Jet of all
Okay.
time, like
There
hands
you
down.
go. There you
Current
go.
one, I think it's Michael Carter. I would love to sit down and like
Yeah.
pal around with Michael Carter and like just hear what he has to say. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, how much. I don't know. He's just like every time I would say him or Elijah Moore, the two of them
Yeah.
together would
Oh,
be like
they're
the two guys I'd love to sit next to and just watch them go at it.
they're
And
the
like,
Bash Brothers.
yeah, dude, I really enjoy watching the two of them. So I guess Michael Carter would be the guy. What about you?
So for me, it would be Joe Namath, and it would be this year. My boy's Elijah Moore. I love him
Mhm.
so much, and I just want to see because I follow his career with Ole Misses, and I just want to see like how he handles like being a
Mhm.
second year guy and his football knowledge because he's went to college with some of the best, DK
Mhm.
Metcalf and even AJ Brown. So I
Mhm.
just want to hear stories and just what he thinks about the game overall.
Yeah,
And
that's a great one because I'd love to like ask Elijah more like, so like what are the chances DK or AJ Brown end up in New York? Because I thought one of those two was going to end up here
yeah,
this past offseason.
exactly. I really was hoping that so much, but I know things happen, things change, and
Mhm.
I hope we just continue to get better at those positions. But if you had to have a beer with a Jets player from back then or now, who would it be?
Ooh, back then, gotta be Mangold. Like
Ooh,
Mangold to
ooh,
me, like with
yes,
the beard and everything, like watching him at the friggin' Ranger games or the Islander games or whatever the heck he was
yeah.
going to at the time, like he's someone that I think would be a lot of fun. Now, hmm. I feel like Feeney would be a blast. Like
Ooh,
there's
yeah.
nothing like, overly athletic about Feeney that really gets me like going, but like just watching him with the rest of the team, like he to me, every team needs glue guys. Last year, Feeney and Keelan Cole were glue guys. Like Feeney this year, he is a glue guy. He keeps the team together. Um, he, I think he would be him or Barrios. I think would probably be one of those two. I
That'd be
really
fun.
enjoy both of them, but I think Feeney with the mullet and everything would probably take the
I know,
cake.
right? Oh, I agree. I agree with you so much. I think for me, back in the day, it would definitely be
Ooh, that's a
Corbett,
good one.
and then this year it would be um, Brees Hall because I
Mm,
loved Brees Hall throughout college, and I did never thought in a million years we would get him. And then when we
mhm.
got him, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Dude,
I
I
was
thought there was
starstruck.
no way we were drafting Brees Hall. When you like, if someone told me running back in the second round, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's totally gonna happen. Did you see Michael Carter last year? Like, this guy is the dude. Like, we're gonna get a
Yeah,
guy in the fourth round. I was thinking
right.
James White. I was like, oh yeah, like this guy out of Georgia. Like, I love Dalvin Cook, or not James White. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, James Cook.
yeah. I
Um,
wanted James Cook too, actually. To
dude,
be
he's
honest,
phenomenal. I'm actually
he's
like
so good.
a little concerned with him up in Buffalo because I think he's
Me
gonna be
too.
running back one at some point.
Oh yeah,
But
Moss
Brees
and
Hall is gonna be
Singletary
exciting.
are not going to be there. The Cook is going to be their number one, I think.
Hmm.
And then, so what do you think about Jets' favorite player of all time? Who is your Jets' favorite player of all time? It could either be this year, or it could be when you were a kid. I'll allow you to pick two.
Ooh, two. Okay, this is a good one. So hands down, Wayne Corbett. Loved Wayne Corbett growing up.
There you go.
I'm
There you
five
go.
foot nine. When I was going into high school, I was
Yeah.
4'10. I was a very short little dude
There you
that
go.
like idolized this tiny wide receiver that came out of nowhere. The story was great. When I was catching passes in like the parking lot of Giant Stadium, I was dragging my toe across the parking lot line, thinking I'm Wayne Corbett the entire time. So, hands down, favorite Jet of all time, Wayne Corbett. Currently, if I had to pick a favorite Jet, you know what? I really like Barrios.
Yeah.
Like he reminds me of Wayne from a grittiness, from an undrafted free agent perspective. Stealing him from the Patriots is kind of a little plus, and then
I love
having
it.
him like come back to the Jets this year, taking a little less money, maybe not going to Buffalo, not going to another team, watching him with the chemistry with Zach, like that to me is exciting. And it's not, Barrios isn't on my favorite Jet list, as a whole, like all time, but I think
Right.
currently he's got to be up there. Him and Michael Carter would probably be the two that I'd be really looking at from this team right now.
That's awesome. I Carter is just he's so funny, dude. And then so Mia would be Joe Namath
Mm.
and then Sauce Gardner. I just want to have some
Mhm.
sauce with Sauce Gardner. That would be great.
Yo, so I'm really excited. I get to meet Sauce on Thursday.
Really? So
Yeah.
what would you? Sorry, I can't speak tonight. What are you going to be doing with him?
So what's cool, Buffalo Wild Wings reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, we're going to be doing an event. We can't tell you what it is, but like we'd like you to be there at some point." And I was like, "All right, well, like I don't know what that means." like who you would be like doing. And they told me like 3 days ago, this past weekend, whatever it was. They're like, oh, hey, like this is what's going to happen. I was like, sign me up. Like 100%. I'm going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We're going to have some sauce because he started a new partnership with Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right.
And he's going to be like probably 40 minutes from me. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm excited. Really looking forward to this. Like there wasn't many players. I shouldn't say there wasn't many players. There's a bunch of players we could have chose at the beginning of that first round. But like when it came down to like Sauce or Thibodeau, I was hoping Thibodeau would go before us. And like we wouldn't have to worry about it. When he fell with Sauce, I was like, oh no. Like worst case scenario, like Thibodeau's gonna go to the Giants, he's gonna be LT, Sauce is gonna come to us, something's gonna happen, he's gonna be terrible. Like it's gonna go completely sideways. Like this is gonna be awful. But I was like, dude, I want Sauce. And when they finally called his name, I'm like, oh dude, I have not like yelled quite like that in such a long time. I think Sauce is a phenomenal player. This guy's gonna be all pro.
So when the draft night, and I love that story, by the way, and I hope you have a great time on Thursday.
Thank you.
I'm so jealous. So when I have been knocking on the people's doors saying, get Sauce,
Mm-hmm.
I've been preaching it every day. People thought I was crazy because they thought that wasn't the priority. But when you look at Salah's defense, he got Richard Sherman. I mean, he produced Sherman and stuff, and it's like, this is perfect. I don't want Thibodeau. I don't want Hutch. I don't want any of those guys. I wanted Sauce because he now is one of my favorite players. He's perfect for this defense. And when we got him, I lost my crap. I called my friends from Canada. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like this is, and then we got Garrett Wilson. I was like, that's my second one. Okay. And then when we want to get JJ2, I'm like, I knew we weren't done. I was like, oh my God, they're getting JJ. Because I lost it. And then the next day when we got Hall, I was like, we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Dude, when we took Hall.
We're not, but I know we're not like this year, but like, you never know either. But it's like when everything's the football gods align and stuff, it's like,
Dude, if you asked me to make a perfect mock draft for the Jets, it would not have been as perfect as our actual draft. Like we like absolutely won it. The whole Sauce pick was just like no touchdowns in college, 0 targets throughout preseason. Like this guy is good. Like I think he's going to get a lot of penalties this year. I think he's going to get a little too handsy. Garrett Wilson, I was a little surprised we made the pick because I thought edge was going to be the priority there. Was excited. Loved the Jermaine Johnson pick and trade up. And then when we got to like Breece Hall, I was like, there's no way we're trading up for like Nakobe Dean. Like that's the guy. Like I know I
wanted Nakobe Dean too. So bad.
When we didn't take it, I was like, what do you mean we took a running back in the second round? Like what?
Right.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good year.
Agreed. Ryan, thank you for being on the show. Where could they find you, my friend?
Guys, you can find me over at Jets Talk 24/7 on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm always around giving highlight tapes, reactions, live streams, that sort of stuff. Thank you for having me on, Gino.
I appreciate it. You've been such a great guest, and you inspired me to do stuff like this. So keep doing what you're doing, my friend.
Thank you, brother. It really means a lot.
Awesome. So you can follow everything NYJ on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are going to the home opener, me and Ryan. Hopefully I could get to meet you, my brother, but also just hit us up, comment, like, subscribe. If you see us on the streets in New York or New Jersey, talk to us. We want to see you. We're in this together, Jets community. Guys, stay safe. Jet up. Ryan, you have a great night, buddy.
You as well.